Okay, so this is going to be my kind of quick tutorial on how Marvel Champions works. I'm going to try and do it where it focuses more on the deck building. I'll focus more on finite rules when I actually play the game. This game is a 1 to 4 player game made by Fantasy Flight. This was back in 2019 it came out. It was probably my favorite game of 2019 to come out. I really enjoyed deck building games like Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon. It was just a local community. Eventually, things just didn't work out where I could keep playing it anymore and enjoy the game. I know I just started making Digimon videos recently. That's because I do not care whether it works or not. There are webcam tournaments and other ways I can play. I don't need to focus so much on locals like back in the day. But anyways, that's besides the point. Deck building game. This gave me my fix for quite a while. So I want to share this with all of you. And because I've been watching the MCU quite a bit recently, COVID has made things really, really boring. I want to play this again. I want to start playing this. There is a solo variation called Two-Handed where I'm going to be playing as two heroes. For my first game, I'm definitely going to be using Iron Man. I don't know who the second one's going to be. I'm going to try to play from the core and go forward so that if anyone wants to know how the core cards work out, here they are. Now, to start the game, every player has to choose a hero. And then with that hero, you're given 15 cards that are themed around that specific hero. So I got 15 Iron Man cards. Now for the villain deck, you have these other cards that get set off to the side. This one here, obligation card, that'll go in the deck for the villains. When it flips up, it'll only affect the Iron Man player or whichever hero you're playing as. The other 5 cards here, these get set aside. These are your Nemesis cards. So you go off to the side. There is a card called Shadows of the Past, which makes you bring out the Nemesis specifically against you, as well as a side scheme that benefits that, well, usually benefits that Nemesis in some way. So anyways, that's Iron Man. That's his deck. And the next thing you would do is you would pick a style of play. There's 4 styles. I picked 4 different cards so I could explain a little bit more about the different kinds of cards that'll be in there. But there's aggression. This is all about hitting hard. There's justice. This focuses on thwarting. I'll explain that a little bit better when I get to that point. There is leadership. That focuses on bringing out allies and giving support to those allies to make them stronger. This is not my usual play style. This is usually my friend's play style. And the last one is protection, where it is all about defense and covering for other players and healing them. So this is kind of your tank / heal unit. Now, you'll pick your aspects. You only get 1 unless a card specifically, like your hero card specifically says, you can have more than 1. And then after you pick your aspect card, you can also put in any neutral cards you want, or basic in this case. So, the 4 different types of cards here, aggression, justice, leadership, protection. There's also subtypes. So for instance, ally. You'll notice this Hulk has that symbol there. That means you can only have 1 of them on the field. You could technically run multiple ones in the game, but only 1 Hulk's allowed out. And you'll also notice the name Bruce Banner. If there was another Hulk that had a different name, you could play this one out on the field. So that's just a little side thing. That won't affect anything at the beginning of the game. That'll affect things when I start playing more of the expansions that have come out. The support cards, like this guy here, they will stay on the field until, well, things are gone or their effects are completely used up. They're kind of like an ally, but they don't have health. Oh, and I should point that out quick. So there's a thwart value and there's an attack value. and there's a health value, and then their effects. You'll probably see Hulk in my first game because I usually play him with Captain Marvel, which might just be what I end up doing. Next kind of card. Event. These are one-time use cards. You just do it, chuck it. Goes in your discard pile. And last card is upgrades. Those will stay on the target they're supposed to go to. So this one, for instance, play under any player's control. So if I gave this to Iron Man, his defense would go up by 1. Aspects. Basics. Now when you're deck building, sometimes certain cards will say things like this one. Max 1 per deck. And you'll also notice this symbol down here. This can give 2 energy towards something. Now, Tony Stark is part of Iron Man, and Marvel Champions kind of respects that. When you start the game, you will start off as your alter ego, and then eventually you could flip over. You can do it once per turn, so you can either go from Tony Stark to Iron Man, or if you're Iron Man at the start of your turn, you can flip back. The things that matter is there's an effect down here at the bottom. There's a recovery value. So if you look at the bottom here, you'll see there's a hand size of 6, hit points at 9. So Tony Stark starts off with 9 hit points, 6 cards in the hand. And then Iron Man, meanwhile, has 1 hand size with 9 hit points. And he doesn't have a recovery. He has a thwart value, an attack value, and a defense value. The defense value is if, for instance, I'll just get Rhino out. Now Rhino's got 1 scheme and 2 attack. Let's say he attacks Tony. Tony could defend, and then he's taking 1 less damage because he has 1 defense. Any modifiers on him or him will affect that damage outcome. When Tony swings against him, or Iron Man, sorry, he would take 1 damage. And then the thwart that you see at the top there is for these. There's main schemes or side schemes. But if there were tokens on here, I could thwart for 2, take off 2 of those tiles. So that's deck building. You choose your hero, choose your style, and then you make your villain deck. In this case, it's going to end up being Rhino for the first video because he is kind of the beginner one. Depending on your difficulty, it would change which one you choose to use. But if you're playing a beginner game, you have to beat him twice with the 1 and 2. If you're playing an expert game where you're just modifying it for difficulty, you would face off against a 2 or 3. Now you'll notice, he doesn't have an effect here. Scheme of 1, attack of 2. 1 and 3 has an effect. 1 and 4 has an effect. And you'll also notice down at the bottom here, he's got a set amount of hit points. Sorry, camera didn't mean to move. Those hit points go up based off the number of players. Since I'm going to be playing two-handed, so 2 different heroes, he'll start at 28 hit points. And then when I take him to the second stage, he'll go up to 30. The way the game ends is one of 3 ways. Either the villain succeeds and he gets a side scheme done. The villain also wins if he's able to take one of my characters down to 0 hit points. And the third one, this is the way I win, is I take him down to 0 twice. So I take him through stage 1, then stage 2. When I beat him at stage 2, that's game. We've played games just to kind of test it where we did 1, 2, and 3. And it's just, your engine runs so well at that point, usually, that you can just kind of steamroll the third one really fast. Now, that is basic deck rules. I'm going to make 2 decks. I'm going to set up Rhino, and then I'm going to actually play a solo game two-handed. I really hope this was helpful in some way. If you have any questions about certain rules, there's a really, really solid Discord group. If you're even interested in this slightly, I would definitely recommend checking them out and asking them questions. And if you want to ask me directly too, you're more than welcome. I'd be more than happy to answer anything. And then lastly, I think I have every single hero that's come out up until Venom. And yes, Venom's a hero in the setup. I can't wait to try these. I haven't really played anything since Ant-Man released because during COVID, I couldn't have anybody over, and I've always been playing this with one specific friend. So we had to put it off for a very long time. Maybe if he sees these videos, he'll be like, oh man, I gotta jump back on this train. Anyways, sorry. Thanks for watching. I hope you want to see part 1 of the series. I want to run through everything. Every villain, every hero combination I can think of, hopefully. And then I want to try their best aspects. And then I also want to just play test some new aspects that I've probably never done before and probably never would have. Thanks for watching. Hopefully see you soon. Till then.